Hey, what's up, everybody? SonyD here. The long-awaited 7.1 Arms Warrior Guide. For the most part, this guide is going to be strictly going over my rotation as well as a few minor things that come into play when you're playing an Arms Warrior. To kick things off, we have my gear. For the most part, you want to prioritize mastery on every piece of gear. Eye level does not necessarily matter for a warrior. If one item is lower than the other, but the lower item has more mastery, you're going to want to equip that piece of gear that has more mastery. Just because mastery scales so much with warriors. Past that, the second stat is going to be strength, and then versatility, and then haste. So for every piece of gear that you look at, you want to be aiming for mastery, versatility. However, I've been leaning towards getting mastery haste pieces simply because I want to hit that breakpoint of 25 to 26% haste, so I can fit in additional global during my battle cry rotation. Now, after gear, we have the artifact pathing. If you're a new warrior, this is basically the route that you're going to want to go. You're going to want to start with Warbreaker, Thoradin's Might, Crushing Blows, Will of the First King, Exploit the Weakness, First Golden Trait, Shattered Defenses. Go back down this way, get Tactical Advance, Precise Strikes, Corrupted Blood, Many Will Fall, Focus in Battle, Unending Rage. And then instead of getting this last golden trait, you're going to want to go all the way over here and grab Death Blow, which increases the critical strike chance of your execute by 15%. After that, you can then get this golden trait, or if you PvP, you could just get this. While Die by the Sword is active, damage taken is reduced by an additional 5%. After pathing, we have relic choices. Now, for me personally, since I do have these legendary gloves, which are the best in slot, if you're an Arms Warrior, try to get these. Well, you can't really try to get legendaries, but try to get. If you get these, good on you, man. You're going to have a lot of fun. If you don't, sorry, sucks to suck. Anyways, so for the relics, you're going to want to get Exploit the Weakness relics. Now, what this allows you to do is it allows for Tactician to proc more frequently, which it makes the Arms Warrior rotation a lot more fun and intuitive. Not necessarily intuitive, but more fluid because you have so many more procs, and you're not rage starved as much simply because of how Tactician works with this trait. Colossus Smash reduces the rage cost of your next Mortal Strike or Execute. So if Colossus Smash is constantly proccing, MS costs less rage, yada yada, more damage. So for the most part, Exploit the Weakness relics are the best. If you have gloves, I've been reading that Exploit the Weakness relics are best in slot in every single slot, regardless of eye level. So eye level doesn't necessarily matter all that much, but I would recommend that you guys check out the Arms Warrior Compendium, which I'll be talking about briefly in a second here, down below, when you're trying to, number crunch which relic might be better than the other and which trinkets might be better. And then for this relic slot over here, I have a Precise Strikes relic, which is also very good because it, like I said, reduces the rage cost in my next MS by 60%, an additional 10%, or is it 20%, through this artifact trait. So those are the relic choices. For talent choices, we have this entire spec. You're basically going to want to copy pasta this. This is just the best for single target damage and rating. There's not a whole lot of variance you can choose within here. I guess you could go Shockwave for Mythic Pluses if you want an additional peel or additional CCs. That definitely works. However, Double Time allows you to generate more rage during boss fights because you can charge twice instead of only once. In the fourth spec choice, we can get Second Wind. Not really that good because most boss fights have mechanics that hit you frequently. And then we have Defensive Stance. I guess if you're messing up a lot and you're getting hit by a lot of shit, you could go to Defensive Stance, but then again, you're just going to be dealing less damage, so what's the point, really? You got to always got to flex on them, so you don't go that. So just go Bounding Strike, reduces cooldown and Heroic Leap by 15 seconds. It allows you to kind of interplay with double charge thing, get 2 charges off, which I'll show you in the rotation here in a second. So that about sums up everything for that. Next up is going to be the rotation. I'll give you guys a brief explanation of the rotation before I actually do it, and that's going to be that, so you charge. While charging, you hit Focus Rage, so literally like mid-charge, you hit Focus Rage. Apply Colossus Smash, Focus Rage again, Battle Cry, Mortal Strike, and then you proceed to spam your Slam macro, which is a macro that has both Slam and Focus Rage in it. You spam that until you get a Tactician proc, which enables Colossus Smash. Doesn't matter if you're at 2 stacks of Focus Rage, 1 stack, or 3. It does not matter how many stacks of Focus Rage you're at. If you get a Colossus Smash, Most of the time, you can Colossus Smash and fit in a Focus Rage before Mortal Striking, so most of the time you'll have like 2 stacks, which is totally fine. You don't always want to wait for 3 stacks Focus Rage. That's not how the spec works, and it's a waste of DPS. So as soon as Tactician procs, as soon as you see Colossus Smash light up, you hit that sucker, and then you're going to hit MS directly after. And that's basically the rotation. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, you hit Avatar when you hit Battlecry. Yeah, who would have thought? But so you do that, and basically what the spec revolves around, what the gameplay revolves around, is kind of filling that void up until Battlecry comes back up. If you don't get Tactician procs and you're completely rage starved, you can always leap out, charge in, and charge back in while Focus Raging in between that. I'd recommend getting a Slam and Focus Rage macro that's just one kind of button, so you could spam that during your Battlecry without having to, put your hand all over the keyboard. Now, I would also recommend that you keybind Slam separately. I do not, however, because I have these MS gloves. I used to, and it was a bit cumbersome because it's a lot of extra keys to hit. That kind of sounds lame. Well, but it's the truth. It's a lot more keys to hit. But you only ever want to hit Slam when you're about to hit Rage Cap. So if you're about 25 Rage from hitting that Rage Cap, you're going to want to hit Slam to prevent that, and then Focus Rage after that. Now, if you don't get a Tactician proc and MS comes back off the cooldown, feel free to hit MS again, and then continue to stack Focus Rage up to 3 until you hit MS again. If you don't get any procs, that kind of sucks. I would honestly recommend really getting these Exploit the Weakness relics. I know that it's personally changed how my gameplay is. I even just recently replaced this one. I had a Slam relic here before, and I actually went back and forth. So I had an Exploit the Weakness, then I went a Slam one, and then I got this finally. And I could say personally, although the percentages aren't that much of a difference, it definitely changes the way the gameplay is, because it does proc a little bit more with that additional relic. I'd love to get a third one too. I'm going to work on getting that. So in my opinion, get as many Exploit the Weakness relics as you can get, because it just makes the gameplay fun. So I'm going to take you guys through rotation. Keep in mind, I do have the legendary gloves, so you're going to see me spamming this macro a lot more, and in general wasting rage a lot more. I guess you could say wasting, but it does do a lot of DPS. So to start things off, just going to charge, Focus Rage, Colossus Smash, Focus Rage again, and then continue to spam that macro as I go about it. Get Tactician procs. If you get 2 Tactician procs back to back, you can Colossus Smash back to back and hit that MS after. However, if you get caught up and you're using MS in between, that's fine. Now, when you don't have a Tactician proc during the beginning of the fight, and you see that, you don't have a Tactician proc and you have 3 stacks of Focus Rage, feel free to use Warbreaker, and then use that 3-stack Focus Rage into an MS. So basically, I'm always pretty topped on Rage, and you're obviously going to go through your dry spells of not getting a Tactician proc, which is totally fine. But like for me right now, it's not really happening. I'm trying to go Rage Starved here for a second so I can show you guys. You just want to leap out. Oh shit, sorry. You can charge in, Focus Rage again, and then by that time, Battlecry is typically back up. Which is really cool about using a lot of Rage, is that it coincides with Dauntless, or Deadly Calm, should I say, and Dauntless, in allowing your Battlecry to reset faster. Now, for the most part, this spec relies on you becoming fluid with the proper rotation between these 4 spells: Mortal Strike, Colossus Smash, Slam, and Focus Rage, as well as Charge. You basically never want to hamstring, because that was put back on the global. Don't want to do that. But yeah, that's basically the rotation there. Obviously, use Avatar off cooldown. You want to Avatar and Battlecry after Colossus Smash for the most DPS, because the damage you do during Battlecry is the most important. So if you use all your big damage steroids after that Battlecry, that's how you yield the most damage. So you never want to Battlecry, Avatar, then Colossus Smash, although I may have in the beginning there. I sometimes fat finger it because I get excited. But you always want to Colossus Smash, Battlecry, Avatar, and then MS. One thing to also, just a quick tip, it would be that you can fit a Focus Rage in between your Tactician proc, in where you Colossus Smash, hit Focus Rage, and then MS right after that. That's totally fine. Now, what that will sometimes do is proc Tactician again, and cause you to have Mortal Strike on the cooldown, which is fine. I don't think that's that big of a DPS loss, but it does allow it to be more fluid and just higher APM. overall, this spec is very high APM, so it does take a little bit of time getting used to. There's a lot of buttons you have to press. Not that many buttons you have to press, but buttons you have to press frequently and fluidly to pull a lot of DPS. So yeah, just a few disclaimers about this guide and just, that brief rundown is that I am by no means the PvE guru. However, I've been getting a lot of inquiries to make this guide and just give you guys a brief rundown of my DPS rotation. So I do hope it helped you in some way. I hope you guys took away something from this video. However, there are a lot of better warriors out there, I believe, when it comes to PvE than me. So yeah. I also use a ton of resources when it comes to learning, how to PvE. I'm going to put them down in the description box. I mentioned, I believe, a bit earlier about the Arms Warrior Compendium. This is my go-to, honestly, all the time for anything when it comes to like relic upgrades or trinket upgrades. Even recently, I just found myself using it for the whole exploit the weakness thing. It's like, is exploit the weakness, is a lower eye level exploit the weakness going to be better than a higher eye level slam? And the case is yes. Even if you don't have the gloves, that's because exploit the weakness scales that much. It just plays into tactician procs, and I mean that's what makes up your DPS for the most part as an arms warrior. So yeah, I use the Arms Warrior Compendium for the most part. My rotation came from there too. Just big ups to all the guys who helped create that. I don't know their names off the top of my head, but that guide is killer. If you guys want to learn more stuff in depth about Arms Warriors and PvE and you want to do your own personal research, I would recommend reading through that entire guide. You guys will learn a ton of stuff. But yeah, hope this video helped you guys, and I will be catching you guys on my next stream. SonyD out.